there BookTube, it's Eleanor here, and today I'm doing my August TBR. I'm going to be doing Snakes and Ladders again because I really enjoyed doing that last month. I've taken on board all of your suggestions, and thank you so much for those of you that took the time to have a think and help me sort of fine-tune this a little bit more. It was a lot of books last month, and so I'm thinking I'm going to take on board the comments that numerous of you said about throwing 2 dice, so I will be throwing those. And hopefully that will make things a lot better. I'm also going to be only taking another go if I throw a double 6, and I think most of that is going to stay the same. It's just the categories that have changed. I have changed the categories for this month because I like to change it up. I think it will help me pick different books, and also I'm going to be taking part in the NEWTS. If you didn't know, this is a readathon that is run by Book Roast, and earlier in the year there was the Owls, and then now it's the NEWTS. I didn't participate in the Owls at the time, but it was said that you could do your Owls at a later stage, and so I've used July as my Owls month, and I've gone through all the books that I've read in July. I've picked out all of the ones and what categories they fit into, and I have managed to narrow it down to 2 professions that I would like to go into. So there was 2 potentials, and I've ended up picking a magizoologist. So to be a magizoologist, you have to have owls in care of magical creatures, charms, herbology and potions, and I have all of those. And in order to complete your NEWTS, you need to have an O in care of magical creatures, an E in charms and an E in herbology. Now they all relate to levels, so there's 3 levels to each subject, and you have to complete the first, then the second in order to get the third. So in some instances you have to read 3 books depending on what level it is that you have to achieve. So in order to complete mine, I have to read 7 books. There's 7 different tasks and categories that I have to complete. So in terms of how I'm relating that to my Snakes and Ladders, I've set, if I roll and land on red, that's going to be my NEWTS TBR. And if I don't get enough reds in order to fulfill my NEWTS TBR, I'm going to have to try and pick that TBR from the other categories. So for blue, I'm going for contemporary romance because it's summer. That's kind of what I'm feeling. I want to have plenty of those on my TBR. For yellow, I'm going for a second chance author. So for that, I want it to be an author that I've read their books before. I'm not overly taken, or I haven't enjoyed them as much, but I want to give the author a second chance. And for green, I want to go for books with names in the title because I think I've got quite a few of them on my shelf, and I thought that'd be quite a good way of narrowing it down. Again, for a snake, if I have to go down a snake, that is me being out of control and someone else has to pick a book for me for the TBR. For the longest snake, I have to pick a book off my yearly TBR. And then for a double 6, as I say, I roll again, and when I finish I'll pick a graphic novel, so there'll always be a graphic novel on my TBR because I've got quite a few that I want to get through. So let's get rolling. Okay, a book with a name in the title. I am going to pick Rain and Delilah's Midnight Matinee by Jeff Zentner. This one I think is about Josie and Delilah. They're best friends and they co-host a public access TV show called Midnight Matinee. They dress as vampires, Rain and Delilah, and perform crazy skits involving skeleton raves and dog weddings, and the show the weekly So Bad It's Good low budget horror movie. But it's the end of the senior year, there's loads going on and big decisions, and they're sort of torn about where to go and you know, what to do with their lives. And I think that there is ShiverCon, there's a convention, I love a convention story, which is for horror filmmakers, and they go, and I'm sure we'll find out what happens, and I think this is going to be a really good one. Okay, so I totally completely forgot about the white square. I'm not sure why I didn't think about making a white prompt this time, but because I'm going to need those extra ones for my NEWTS TBR, I'm going to use the white. If I land on a white, I also need to pick one of the books off my NEWTS TBR. If I end up with too many NEWTS TBRs, I'll just have to adapt, but fingers crossed, I should be able to manage it like that. Firstly, I'm going for the prompt that is follow the spiders, why couldn't it be follow the butterflies, a book title that starts with an A for Aragog, and that is going to be to get an A in Care of Magical Creatures, and for that I'm picking A List of Cages by Robin Rowe. A while back, maybe a year or so ago, this was a really sort of buzzed and hyped book. I never really got to it at the time, but it's one that I definitely want to pick up now. This is a story, I think, of a young boy who is has become the aide to the school psychologist. I believe he might be suffering from ADHD. He's given the task of trying to find and get hold of this boy that has some issues of his own. It's someone that he was quite good friends with, I think. There's going to be some sort of discovery or something going on there. Lots to uncover, lots of heartache and trauma, no doubt, and it's one that I now feel like I want to read. Contemporary romance. Well, this is one that I picked up recently and I haven't even had the time to haul yet. I just thought it sounded really cute, and that's Maybe This Time by Casey West. This is about a boy and girl. For very different reasons, they are expected to attend sort of local events. The girl works for a local florist and has to attend, you know, weddings, funerals, parties, and the boy's father is a sort of local chef, and so he has to also attend and help out all these things. I think there's a bit of a love-hate going on here, but yeah, I'd be interesting to see how it all sort of comes together, and I hope it's just a really sweet love story. Okay, another contemporary romance. This one might be a bit controversial for some people. I know there's a lot of people that didn't like the series written by this author, but I have to say I didn't mind it when I read it. So, you know, take from that what you will about my taste in books, but I wanted to read this one by Anna Todd, and it's called The Brightest Stars. This is about a girl that's grown up on military, had a military background, and this is then about a soldier that she meets and the relationship that forms between them. So I hope this is going to be a bit of a steamy but romantic story, and I like Anna Todd's writing, so I'm going to really enjoy reading this one. Another contemporary romance, yay! Lots to take on holiday with me. So this time I have picked Starry Eyes by Jen Bennett. I really like Jen Bennett's writing, and this one just sounds like a really lovely, sweet romance. This is about Zori and Lennon, two best friends turned enemies. It's an enemies to lovers sort of trope. They end up on this camping trip. They end up just the two of them having to sort of find their way back to people, I think, and getting lost. I don't know how, but out in the wilderness together, having to rely on each other to survive. So, you know, are they going to be able to overcome these emotions and what it is that has made them fall apart? So I think this is going to be a really good one. Okay, another one from my NEWTS TBR, and to exceed expectations in Care of Magical Creatures, the next prompt is to pick a book that is under 300 pages. I've had this one on my shelf for quite a while. It just needs to be read. It's Rue by Kim Twee, and this one is 150 pages, so just perfect for this. It's under the length I need. It's a good short one to have on my TBR. This says it is a series of vignettes which extend from wartime Vietnam to the hospital precincts of Quebec. So I think that's going to be a really good read. Okay, Okay, another one for my NEWTS TBR. So to get an outstanding in care of magical creatures, the last prompt is to read a book with a bird on the cover. So I'm going to be reading this graphic novel with a chicken on the front called Calling Dr. Laura, a graphic memoir by Nicole L. Georges. And I just think this sounds like a really interesting story. It's black and white. I really quite like the artwork, and the story itself is what made me pick it up in the first place. This is about a woman that's told that her father is dead. She discovers later in life that perhaps that father wasn't her real father, and then she starts to go on a search to discover who she is, who was her real father, and I think this just sounds really interesting, and I think, you know, it's written from the author's perspective, so I think it's going to be heartwarming and moving, and yeah, I can't wait to find out a bit more. Okay, so a second chance author. For that, I have picked With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. I didn't get on with the Poet X. This one sounds way more up my street. It's about a girl, she gets pregnant very young. She's a budding chef. It's about looking at following your dreams after something changes the course of your life. I absolutely love the naked hardback of this book. I just think it's beautiful. And this one isn't written as poetry, and so I think I should get on better with that. Books written in verse don't seem to work for me very well, so fingers crossed that this second chance works out. My NEWTS, excellent. I'm going to move on to charms now, and to get an A in charms I need to read a book with a gorgeous cover, or that I think has a gorgeous cover, and for that I'm going to go for this one, which has got some beautiful gold foiling. It's Under a Dancing Star by Laura Wood. I recently read A Sky Painted Gold by her, and I was so surprised at how much I loved the book. The story wouldn't naturally be one that I would sort of pick up, but I really loved the writing and the sense of place that she created and the characters. So I wanted to pick up this one. I love the spine as well. And I'm going to be reading this one with for my book club as well, so that fits in quite nicely. This one is set in 1930s, and a young girl's parents want her married off to keep the family estate alive, but she wants this sort of adventure, so she ends up spending a summer in Italy with her bohemian uncle, and I believe an artist comes into the picture, and we will find out what happens. Okay, so Matilda needs to pick off my TBR, so she's going to go and pick now. Okay, Matilda's going to pick me something because I went down a snake. Matilda, see what you can pick off my shelf. You go for it. Oh, she's going over to the shelf. Oh, careful. That one, okay.
This looks beautiful in the front.
That's why you like it, because it looks beautiful. Thank you very much for picking. Okay, it's another NEWTS, and for this one it's to listen to an audiobook. That's in order to get my first step, my A in Herbology. I haven't decided what audiobook I'm going to listen to yet, but I will pick one up at some point, and I'm going to allow myself to have this one as one to pick throughout the month, just to give myself that little bit of leeway of what I fancy. So I will pick up an audiobook to read for this challenge. Contemporary romance. Okay, I'm going to pick up Small Town Hearts by Lily Vale. This one I think has a bisexual main character from what I can gather in the blurb. It's about a girl, she is loving where she lives in Maine, in this sort of small sleepy town. She lives in a lighthouse, she works as a barista, but it's time for everyone to sort of move on and go to college, and it's that sort of last summer before that. Her and her three best friends, there's been a sort of kiss between somebody that has caused some controversy and some some heartache, and then there's an ex-girlfriend that's turned up in town. There is a new boy hanging around the coffee shop. There's so much going on, and I just think this is going to be a really enjoyable romantic read. For name in the title. This time I've picked Annalie in Real Life by Janelle Milanez. I'm sorry it's shiny, it's got like a plastic cover on it. This is about Annalie. Her mother has died. She feels lost. She doesn't feel herself anymore. So she sort of escapes into this online gaming community where she can be someone else, and she can be brave and strong and things that she doesn't feel like she can be in real life. And I think we're probably going to follow this journey. There might be a romance in there, and I just thought this sounded really fun and a really nice read. And I like anything that incorporates sort of online gaming. So yeah, fingers crossed that I enjoy this one. Okay, so I'm going to utilise my graphic novel for the end of the Snakes and Ladders for another one of my challenges for the NEWTS TBR. And so for that, I'm going to be picking up Giant Days Volume 9. This is just a continuation in this series following 3 girls who live together at university in England, and it's just very reminiscent of my university experience, and I'm just really enjoying the fun and adventures that these 3 go on. Okay, so I've come to the end, but I'm still missing one of the challenges for my NEWTS to be a Magizoologist, and so I'm going to pick that last one and just add it to my TBR as an extra one. So yeah, that's what I'm picking for this. To get my E in Herbology, I need to read a book between 350 and 390 pages, and for that I've picked The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. This is like 388, so really close, but 388 pages. It's set in Alaska, about a girl who goes to visit her father she hasn't seen for a long time because he's ill. I believe he has some sort of airplane business, and one of the pilots and her strike up some sort of friendship come romance, I believe. I've heard nothing but good things about this, so I'm really looking forward to getting to it myself. So that is my TBR for my Snakes and Ladders TBR. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this month and trying to complete it again. I'll try and vlog bits as I can. I'm going on holiday, so hopefully you'll see some clips of me when I'm away, reading lots, and I look forward to speaking to you throughout the month. And yeah, let me know what you're reading. Have you read any of these? As always, let me know which ones you think are the best, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye for now, BookTube.